Good morning, Madison here. Today we're going to make some watercolor binder. So with that we can get on to making a rough watercolor paint next. I have some pre-measured with the 5 tablespoons called for plus a little extra. And hold on, I'm gonna go get the bulk gum arabic so I can show you that. You can buy this tub, I get it from Amazon. It is food grade gum arabic and it's already powdered. Alright, so I won't need all of this. I just brought some options to show you for things you can use. First of all, a jar, just a regular canning jar, and it has markings on it, which is very helpful. Otherwise, you'll need to use a measuring cup. A second jar so that I can pour my mixed binder out of this jar and strain it into this jar, because there will be lumps. It's almost impossible to get it made without lumps. So this is a canning funnel, and this is a little strainer that sits on top of that. Both of those get at your department store. That's for when I want to strain it into the next jar. Instead of that, I use this. This is also something you can get at your department store. It's a filter for making coffee, and it just sits right on top of the jar. That one's been more convenient, and it's a finer strain. This is clove essential oil. If you intend to use your binder right away, this probably isn't going to be a critical feature. It helps keep your binder from molding. Where it does come in more handy is while your paint is drying in the pans. When they're in the pan drying before you add your next layer, sometimes the pans will mold, and this helps prevent that from happening. If you live in a dry climate, if you make paint when it's a dry period instead of doing it during rainy days, then you'll probably have less trouble with mold. Honey. The recipe calls for 1/8 of a cup of honey. Now on this cup, that's a cup right here. This is a 1/2 cup. There is no marking for a 1/4 cup, and then half of that would be 1/8 of a cup. But I just estimate, and I pour the honey till it reaches about this line. For every paint you make, the ratio of the amount of gum arabic you need to the water and the honey could be slightly different, and you'll need to adjust after your testing to see if the binder is working properly for the pigment you've used. I'll show you that too. After we make a paint, we're going to test the paint, and that's where you'll see if you have any binder problems. And measuring spoons. If you're using the bulk, it's 5 tablespoons of gum arabic powder to your 1 cup of water. So I'm going to go boil some water now. Water is boiled. I use this electric kettle to boil it. Doesn't matter if you boil it on the stove top. Just get water boiling. And probably a good idea for you to do all this at a countertop where you're not sitting in the spot you're pouring boiling water. So before I pour that into this jar, I'm going to get up and out of the way in case for some reason this jar should bust. But first, I'm going to put the honey in. Honey is one of the ingredients that you also may need to adjust to adapt to your pigment. What it does is keep your paint re-wettable. If you didn't put any honey and all you used was the gum arabic, and I'm going to lick this honey, If you didn't put any honey in here, your paint would be so hard that the gum arabic will be hard to re-wet, and it'll make it difficult to use. If you put too much honey, then your paint won't dry out enough and it'll stay kind of sticky. And it'll be sticky on the paper even after it dries. So that's not a good situation. If that happens and your paint is sticky on your painting, you can dust your painting with a little bit of powdered gum arabic and then dust it off. Best thing to do is test your paints before you make a painting. So we have what I estimate to be about 1/8 of a cup of honey. I'm going to put my 5 tablespoons into the jar. I'm going to go ahead and start seeing if any of this honey will mix up some of the gum arabic. Then I'm going to get out of the way and pour a little hot water in here. I'm not going to pour it all. Just going to put a little. Start mixing it up. I'm going to make sure the camera's showing this and make it larger if I can. We're about 1/2 cup now. You can see there's still some lumps on the beater. And I'm going to go ahead and top it off to the 1 cup mark. You can see that it's beginning to dissolve. It's not too lumpy when you use a whisk like this. I have not tried an emulsifier for making coffee, like lattes or something. That might work, but I think it would aerate it too much. The bubbles would come out eventually, though. I am going to try the aerator and see, the emulsifier, and see if that does work. A little battery operated. If this comes out with no lumps, then I may use this every time. We just bought this little thing, so. I've been looking forward to making this video so I could try this and see if it works. Okay. 1 drop of clove oil now. Make sure you don't put more than 1, 2 at the most, because that oily will stay on the surface and mess up your paints if you put too much. I think I like the emulsifier for doing this. All right, so we're going to strain it now. This is milky because it's full of air bubbles. And it'll settle out. And the gum arabic is safe to wash in your sink without a separate tub. It's the sand particles that clogs up your drain, not this. Okay. The rest of what's in there is a little lumpy, so I'm going to leave that here. Put the cap on my jar, keep the ladybugs from getting in here. We have a ladybug invasion in the wintertime here. And then I'll let that settle so the air bubbles can all rise, and I'll come back to this and show you how it looks when it's ready. All right, your binder, still a little foamy on top, but you can see that it's settling out. We're ready to test it. So in the next video, we're going to make some rough watercolor paint using some of that pigment from the last video after we broke up the yellow rock. You'll need your mulling plate, muller, your dust mask, a spatula, a dropper, a paintbrush, and I use a piece of watercolor paper to do my test swatches, and I write what I'm going to test on here. And it will be the yellow rock. And it's the rough pigment. And I always put a date. Today is the 1st of February. You'll need a pan too. 2, possibly 3 pans. I'll get that out and be ready. See you on the next video.